Let Go is a 2024 survival horror movie. Directed by Alexandra Aja, it stars Halle Berry, Percy Daggs IV, and Anthony B. Jenkins. A family that's been haunted by an evil spirit for years has their safety and surroundings questioned when one of the children begins to doubt if the evil is real.
There was a mother and her two sons. And nothing could hurt them as long as they stay connected to their home.
I have really mixed feelings on this. I just got back from the theater, but first off, it is a very well done movie. It really is a good movie, and I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy it. My mixed emotions come from I disliked the way it made me feel. I disliked a lot of the things that it dredged up for me, memories and just different emotions in general. But that doesn't mean it's not a good movie. It actually means the opposite. It means that they did a really good job presenting these ideas and dealing with these issues. Because they struck home so hard means they really did well. But it's just excruciating to watch because there's this mother who is dead set on this evil and these things that are going on around them. But throughout the entire movie, you're questioning what is real and what's not. And for me personally, she reminded me so much of my own mom and the things that I experienced growing up, the delusions, the raising us to believe the world was one way and that the things around us were one way. And in reality, they were not at all. And I had to learn, unfortunately, as an adult, more and more as life has gone on, how just absolutely delusional my mom's ideas were. And so as much as this movie brought that up for me and does deal with that, you're also left to question what is supernatural as well. And so I really like the way they did that, where you're never quite sure what's reality and what is delusion. And really, this movie is going to leave a lot of people hanging. I think you're going to see some people, I've already seen a few headlines, so to speak, of people that were not satisfied with the ending of this, didn't feel like it gave them enough of a conclusion. And that's really surprising for me after seeing this, because for me it was very clear. I have my answers. I am very confident in what I think happens at the end of this and what everything meant and all of that. But I guess for a number of people, it is too up in the air and it doesn't really answer your questions on what actually happens in this movie, on what might be a delusion, what's supernatural, what's not, because there could be a little of both going on here or whatever. I'm trying to dance around it because I don't want to give away any ideas of what I think this movie is saying and what I think happens. I don't want to twist your viewing experience by giving you mine. And I think as much as I feel very confident in what I think this movie was saying and what happens, I think you're gonna have a lot of people that feel the opposite and think maybe that the movie is this way instead. So I think is going to have a lot to do with your own experiences, the way you perceive things, what you believe and what you don't, and things like that, which I think also is a good testament on how well done this is as a movie. But the acting is phenomenal. Halle Berry, like always, is just incredible. She's so intense, so emotional. She plays someone whose mind is cracking up so well. We saw her do that in Gothica, and in a lot of ways this reminded me of that performance, but even more extreme, even more pushing the boundaries on that. And the two kids, I mean, they're pretty young, these two twin boys, but damn, man, they gave a really believable, really powerful performance, especially in the final act of this. It's also incredibly well shot. It's something I always appreciate in Alexandra Aja's movies. They're usually always really well shot and look just vibrant and interesting, and there's a lot of textures and the sets that he chooses, the way he shoots them, the lighting, everything that he does as far as a director, it's impeccable. And this isn't what I would consider to be incredibly gory or brutal, but there are a couple scenes. There are some things that surprised me. It went a lot harder than I thought it was going to go, because for a lot of this movie, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that kind of movie, but then it does as it ramps up towards the end. It gets pretty wild. My biggest complaint with this really is the first half, maybe even the first third of it. It's just pretty slow, and I found myself kind of struggling to get interested in this. And that could be for various reasons, but it just didn't really grab me right away. And I found myself just kind of drifting and just being like, okay, you know, when is something going to happen? Like, what's going on here? Like, the setup, we understand from like minute one what the setup is here. So let's get moving. Like, what else is going to happen besides this basic setup? And some of that is seeing the trailer, knowing what this movie's about. I mean, you already know the basic setup from that if you've seen the trailer or, you know, read the synopsis. And I understand why. It's because they're trying to fill out these characters and make it believable that this is a family and how much this mother loves and protects her kids, as well as showing how they survive out in the middle of the woods all by themselves. So I get why it's that way, but just I wish it had kind of ramped up a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure what they could have done different. I'm not a filmmaker, but I just know from my own personal experience, it dragged a little bit, like I said, in that first third of the movie. But once it gets going, it gets pretty creepy and definitely uncomfortable. And the final act in this, I think especially, is really, really good. There's a couple super intense scenes. I mean, one after another that just have you gripping your chair. And I was really impressed with that as well, because as much as I was struggling to stay invested in this in that first third, was the exact opposite in the final act. I mean, I was glued to the screen and very much in this movie. I was also very impressed with the special effects department on this, because the way they, just the simple stuff, like the way they did the makeup on the kids and the mom when they're kind of starving and they don't have a whole lot of food, like they're struggling through this winter to, you know, survive out there by themselves. I mean, it is spooky how sunken in their eyes look, and just how, I mean, it's hard to watch at times because of that. I mean, just like I said, not only did it hit me hard as far as things I went through, a very similar experience with my own life growing up and the way my mom raised us, but just feeling for these kids in general and not liking to see kids hungry, you know, like, it was a hard watch. So, but there's also some really well done CGI and creature effects in this as well. Mostly CGI. I think there was some practical with the creature stuff, but mostly it's CGI, but it's well done and believable looking. It isn't something that's going to take you out of the movie. But to sum it up, I think it's a very solid movie, but one I wouldn't say you need to rush out to a theater to see, but definitely will be a fantastic watch once it hits Shudder or Netflix or wherever it lands, because it really is a really good movie. It's just there's a lot of competition right now in theaters. And so for me to tell you to go see this over The Substance or Alien or you know, a number of other movies, you know, I wouldn't say that. But I did absolutely enjoy this, and I do look forward to watching it a second time, because there's a lot of textures throughout this movie, a lot of layers to the story that'll be enjoyable to watch a second time and pick up on.
Maybe the water's still out there.
But that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for checking this out. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel. And when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this every single week, I also want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members over here. You guys mean so much to me. And if you would like to help support this channel, you can go over to Patreon by clicking on the link down in the description, or you can become a channel member by clicking on the join button down there and help support the channel that way. But like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember guys, horror can be fun. And if you enjoyed this, click right here to watch me talk about The Substance. And I'll see you guys next time.